This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. This is a sponsored message. Recently, I started using Anchor as my podcast host. Anchor offers benefits that most other hosts do not. It's free to use, but it also has a collection of tools that allow you to create a podcast completely within the Anchor website or smartphone app. They distribute your show to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other distribution channels without any additional effort on your part. And you can make money from your podcast without any minimum audience size. So you can use it as a more traditional podcast host like I do, but it's also got everything you need to start a podcast from scratch in one place. If you're keen to give it a shot, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's Tuesday, March 29th, 2022. Let's talk about the news. From BBC News, Russia-Ukraine war summary. Ukrainian and Russian officials are scheduled to hold ceasefire talks today in Turkey, and there are some reports that folks on the Ukrainian side of previous negotiations of this sort may have been poisoned, which is something Russian spy services do a lot, though these reports are currently unconfirmed and the Kremlin has denied poisoning anyone. Ukrainian forces are continuing counterattack pushes in some areas. Russian oil tankers are reportedly turning off their identification systems to dodge sanctions. Russian rockets continue to hit cities around the country, and Ukrainian President Zelensky was interviewed by Russian journalists over the weekend. The German government has announced that they're considering buying anti-missile defense systems as part of a larger military modernization effort they've decided to undertake due to what's happening in Ukraine. And efforts continue to find enough energy resources, especially oil and natural gas, to fill gaps that would be left in Europe if Russia pulls the plug on their supply, or if they decide to cut off their relationship with Russia unilaterally. From the Associated Press, Shanghai starts China's biggest COVID lockdown in 2 years. China began locking down Shanghai yesterday, an effort that will be conducted in 2 phases, and which represents their largest lockdown and testing effort since Wuhan at the very beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. Shanghai is a city of 26 million people, so this will be quite the undertaking. That said, smaller communities within the larger Shanghai region have already seen localized lockdowns over the past week, so while the global economic impact of this process will be significant, it's unlikely to cause too much pushback from residents, despite the abundance of informal complaints after previous lockdowns in large Chinese cities. And from Reuters, Taliban ban women in Afghanistan from flying without male chaperone. The Taliban have reportedly told airlines operating in Afghanistan that women without a male chaperone are not allowed to board domestic or international flights. Some women have apparently already been denied access to flights because of this decision by the Ministry for the Propagation of Virtue and the Prevention of Vice, which is the real name of a real government ministry. And the U.S. has canceled planned meetings with Taliban officials on key economic issues in response to this and another recent decision to close schools for girls on the same day they were meant to reopen, after having been closed in the wake of the country's recapture by the Taliban after U.S. forces left last year. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com. And you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts, at understandery.com.